Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to another Pokemon Masters video, and today we're gonna discuss the upcoming legendary event, which by the way, it is a legendary event, not legendary, the Palkia, right? The Palkia legendary event, and go over some potential move sets, what it could do when it comes out, and some other stuff around that as well. So, as for the Pokemon itself, right? It is a Gen 4 Pokemon, so that does kind of sort of beg the question, which trainer could potentially have Palkia, right? So let's go over some Gen 4 trainers and see, who does have a certain possibility of getting him. So of all the trainers that haven't been released right now, that are Gen 4, we got, Lucas, we got Mira, Riley, Buck, Rowan, I guess. Any gym leaders that aren't? Oh, Byron, not out yet. Volkner, Rip Volkner. Aaron, Lucian, right? Cyrus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Palmer, right? Well, these are the Diamond Pearl ones. There's still obviously more. In Platinum, a few more, mostly Battle Frontier guys plus Looker. So yeah, in terms of like all these characters, assuming it is going to be Gen 4, right? Obviously, there's a high chance that Lucas gets it. I guess. But it could also be someone else, and Lucas gets Dalgo, which sort of makes a bit more sense than him getting Palkia. But he could still get Palkia, I guess. Right? So Lucas is definitely a possibility. As for unreleased characters, I guess Cyrus could also have him, but it's just that's like Cyrus getting Giratina just makes more sense than Cyrus getting Palkia. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be Cyrus just because they might be saving Cyrus for Giratina, right? So there's that, I guess. As for any other, like, I don't think they're gonna give the Team Galactic admins a legendary Pokemon. I mean, I love Mars, but I don't think they're gonna give Mars or Saturn or whatever a legendary Pokemon. The gym leaders that aren't released yet don't really make sense either. Neither do any of the other multi-battle partners, or whatever they're called again. I can't remember. Its term is escaping me right now, but yeah, there's that. Palmer doesn't have Palkia either, so probably not gonna be. You know what? Maybe it could be Palmer. I don't know. It's just that Palmer again just never had Palkia before, so it doesn't really make sense either. As for some units that are already out and could also maybe get like a Signisuit and then pick up Palkia. In this sense, I guess could be a Signisuit Dawn or Barry. Those could be possibilities. Signisuit Dawn or Barry. If we're looking by type, since Palkia is Water Dragon, Signisuit Crasher Weak. I don't know. That would be kind of off, but it's possible, I guess. Signisuit Cynthia. Even though we already know Signisuit Cynthia is Komodo, but maybe like some people were suggesting maybe Swimsuit Cynthia, but then again, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things that do not fit if you're trying to go with the Swimsuit Cynthia goes or whatever Summer Cynthia. So the possibility of that isn't too high either. So in terms of Gen 4 characters, it really does seem like either it's gonna be a Lucas or like a Signisuit of Dawn or Barry, maybe, right? So there's that, and maybe with the off chance of it being either Cyrus or whoever. Although there is one more possibility that they always could have in the bag, which could be Palkia and the main character, which everyone absolutely loves. Right? I guess, Roan could also be a possibility, maybe. I don't know. But yeah. Palkia plus Scotty or Betty could also always be a possibility. So, anyways, going back to Palkia, let's go over, some potential sets that it has, right? So it is Water Dragon type, obviously. In Pokemon Masters, all the Pokemon, they only have one type. There's no dual types or whatever. So it's either going to be Water or Dragon. And here's the thing about the typings and its movesets. It being Water Dragon in the main games does not mean it's going to have Water or Dragon moves. It's going to at least have one of them because, well, it's going to be the type. It's going to have its same type moves, but it might not have the other one. And it is very likely, in terms of that being the case in Legendary Pokemon. Because remember, Ho-Oh is Fire Flying, has Overheat, Sacred Fire, and Solar Beam. Does not have any flying type moves. Rayquaza, however, has both. Rayquaza has Dragon type moves, Outrage, Draco Meteor, and then also has Aerial Ace, so it's got Dragon Flying there. Let's see, who else? Solgaleo has Sunsteel Strike, Metal Claw, and Focus Blast. So they didn't give Solgaleo its other types of moves either, right? They give it a fighting type move, Focus Blast instead. Just like and then Mewtwo obviously only has one type, and Shadow Ball and Psychic. So if it doesn't come with like a Water Dragon type move, it's completely possible, right? So do keep that in mind. So anyways, let's go into its potential movesets and stuff, right? Also one more thing to consider, it is going to be either weak to Dragon or Fairy, so okay, I guess it's also possible if it's like weak to like Grass or Ice or whatever, right? Because of the one precedent that is Empoleon, because Empoleon is weak to Grass, even though it's not supposed to be weak to Grass because it's dual water steel typing in the main games, but it's only water type in Pokemon Masters, so they made it weak to Grass. But I guess it's possible that they make it like weak to Grass, right? But like I just don't think it's very, very likely, since they already have like better weaknesses here, so they go with like Dragon Week or Fairy Week instead. So yeah, as for that, we'll go into that in a separate video, just in terms of which banner, because every time a legendary event comes around, they do drop a banner with generally a new unit that is super effective against it. So that is something to consider as well. I think that might be an interesting topic that we could talk about as well. But as for just Palkia in general here, I'm mainly going to be talking about what Palkia set could be if Palkia is a striker, because like first of all legendaries so far have been strikers, and also it's almost impossible to predict if it's move set and stuff if it's not a striker, like because like honestly, I mean, I guess it could be easier to predict what its moveset would be like if it's tech, but if it's a support, there's just no way you could predict, because support, it's just like trainer moves and just random like X whatever all, right? So yeah, like it's if it's a support, it's just impossible to predict. So anyways, going into some of its sets, right? So it really just comes down to which typings or typing combos they're gonna go with, because generally from the first legendary event until now, all the legendaries have followed the pattern with 3 attacking moves and 1 trainer move, right? So 3 offensive moves, 2 are of the same type, and then there's 1 that's a different type. So there's only been 2 type moves. There never has been like a third typing in their moves, right? And so far as well, every single legendary has also followed the pattern of having those 2 types be one of the 3 types in a single Battle Villa set, 5-stage set, right? For example, Mewtwo is Psychic Ghost, which is obviously super effective against the Battle Villa stages that are weak to Psychic Ghost. Solgaleo is Steel and Fighting, which are super effective against the Steel and Fighting stages. Rayquaza is Flying and Dragon, which is barely flying lace, but is super effective against the Flying and Dragon Weak stages. All that's, you get the point, right? Same with Ho-Oh, Fire and Grass. So if we were to look for stuff, I guess that would, in terms of moveset, I think that would be a really good starting point in terms of which it could be possible. The only stages that haven't gotten a legendary yet is the Rock stages and the Rachel stages, right? The Rock stages are weak to Fairy, Ground, Water. Rachel stages are weak to Water, Electric, and Ice, right? Which Palkia actually has both. Although in terms of that, I don't think the possibility of it being like the Rachel set is kind of low, because like no one really needs Rachel is always like the first 5 stages, super easy. Yuki's the worst team in the game, and then you could still beat those 5 stages, probably even on auto, right? So so it's very likely it's more so going to be the Darok stages, right? The Water, Ground, and Fairy stages. So in terms of moveset, I don't think he has a single Fairy type move that I know of. So if it were to be in that set of stages, it's going to be like Water and Ground type, right? As for Water type moves, it does have a few big ones, right? As Hydro Pump, has Aqua Tail, which is also a possibility. Like for water type Pokemon in Masters, they always just like to like just slap like Aqua Tail or like or Waterfall onto the Pokemon, right? So I guess Aqua Tail is a possibility. Plus Palkia has a really big tail, so there's that, I guess. As for other stuff, obviously Liquidation would be really nice. Like Liquidation is obviously very powerful, and Masters Aqua Tail not so much. Even though like Liquidation is like 85 base power and Aqua Tail is 90 base power. However, Liquidation in Polo Masters is so much more powerful than Aqua Tail. It's like Aqua Tail is a 2-gauge move, and then like Liquidation 3-gauge move. Anyways, that aside, as for special moves, because all the legendary Pokemon so far, except for Mewtwo, have also been mixed, physical and special, right? Overheat and solar beams. Overheat, solar beam versus Sacred Fire. You got Focus Blast, with Sunsteel Strike and Metal Claw, which those are physical. Focus Blast special, right? And then Rayquaza has like Outrage, Aerial Ace, which are physical, and then Draco Meteor, which is special. So everyone except for Mewtwo is just full special, right? Confusion, Shadow Ball, Psychic, all special. So very, very likely they'll give like Palkia like either 2 special moves and 1 physical move, or 2 physical moves and 1 special move. So that's a possibility. In terms of Palkia's stats, Palkia does have a bit more special attack, so like I guess the possibility of it being like 2 special moves and then 1 physical move is slightly higher. So we could look at that, I guess, right? And generally the physical special split, it does seem like actually, you know what? There actually really isn't that much of a physical special split in terms of legendaries, right? Because all steel moves are physical for Solgaleo, and then it's split for Ho-Oh, and then for Rayquaza, it's also split. So, anyways, ignore my point on that one. But yeah, it could have Hydro Pump, kind of either Aqua Tail or Liquidation as well, I guess. As for the ground type move, Earthquake is an option. Earth Power, he also has, right? Earth Power slightly more likely just because it's a level up move. Not that it really matters in terms of all that stuff. But yeah, Earth Power would be interesting because we don't have like an Earth Power. Do we have an Earth Power user yet? I don't think we do, right? I don't think we do. Also, it would be really, really nice if we get like another ground type striker, because like if you don't have Cynthia, your only options are like Hapu, and Hapu is like really bad. Unless Hapu gets grid in the near future, which could be really nice. But yeah, Earth Power possibility. That's a possibility. Earthquake is a possibility. Bulldoze, I guess. Bulldoze is actually pretty decent in this game actually. Well, I wouldn't say pretty. It's okay. Bulldoze is okay, I guess. You know what? Now, the more I think about it, the more I think it's probably going to get Bulldoze if it is going to get a ground type move. Just because it doesn't hit like as hard. Plus, it is like techie, which they could potentially do. Like for example, like what they did with Ho. Like Ho is a very techie striker. It does a lot of really, really powerful tech stuff while also doing decent damage. So if they want to go with that route again, they could like give Palkia Bulldoze, I guess. So there's that. As for the water type moves, Surf is also a possibility. We haven't had any like AoE water type moves yet, so they could pick up Surf. As for other stuff, again, like I mentioned, Aqua Tail, Hydro Pump, Liquidation. I guess Water Pulse is also another possibility. Again, if they want to make it a bit more techy, and also wants us to like use a completely useless move for Palkia. You're like whoever uses Metal Claw or Confusion or Aerial Ace. I guess maybe some people use Aerial Ace, not like Mewtwo and Solgaleo or Rayquaza, right? Ho, everyone uses like Solar Beam, so good on Ho, right? But for the other folks, right? In general, you don't really use that. But anyways, so I guess those are. I guess Sonic Tantrum is a possibility. Sonic Tantrums are like so bad though. It's gonna be like if they give it like if they give it Sonic Tantrums, it's just gonna be like another Rayquaza situation with Aerial Ace. Just because Sonic Tantrum not that powerful in this game. So those are the possibilities if it's going to be like water and ground, right? They could also give it again water electric or water ice. But it has to have water in those scenarios if they are going to make it like for the Rachel stages. So then it could have something like a blizzard or Ice Beam. Ice Beam's not that powerful in this game, unfortunately, even though it's like really good in base games, but it's not that great in this game. But I guess Blizzard, if they do that, they probably would have to give it like an accuracy boost on the trainer move, right? As they do for Solgaleo. I think those are the only relevant ice type moves that it could potentially pick up. As for electric type moves, as Thunder, Thunderbolt, again, Thunderbolt not that powerful. Thunder on the other end, much more powerful, but also again accuracy issue, so would probably have an accuracy buff on. The same for like Hydro Pump as well, right? So like with all the Palkia moves that it has, stuff like Hydro Pump, Blizzard, Thunder, right? That it could potentially pick up. The ground type moves are fine though. Like if it's all these type of moves, very likely I think it would have an accuracy buff on its trainer move, which is obviously very, very nice. So there's that. But however, if it's another combination, then it probably won't have any accuracy buffs. If it is the combination of, I guess, dragon and ground type, then it won't have it. Then there's a possibility that it won't have any accuracy buffs, even though like Spatial Rend stills, it's not 100% accuracy, 95% accuracy. But I don't think they're gonna give you an accuracy buff on like a 95% accuracy move. They could still, but very unlikely. Like they didn't give Ho an accuracy buff on their overheat, right? And all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, speaking of that, there could also be a scenario where it does not conform with the Battle Villa stages at all, and it's just gonna be like Dragon and something else, right? Dragon Water, obviously that's Palkia's primary types. Which is possible, but like I mentioned before at the beginning of the video, there has been precedent where, actually there's like 2 out of the 4 legendaries, they've used, they just completely did not use the secondary type as one of their moves, right? Solgaleo used a fighting move instead of psychic, and then Ho used a grass type move instead of flying, right? So again, it's possible that they don't do dragon and water at all, but it's also possible that they could do dragon and water, right? So if it's going to be that, there's no way if they're going to make Palkia dragon type, which I do find very likely, because like if they give us Palkia without Spatial Rend, that's gonna be super weird. But on the other hand, they did give us Rayquaza without I don't know why they move is just, it's suddenly blanked on me right now. But let's see, what was it called again? The move. What was it called again? Oh my, Dragon Ascent. Yeah, they did give us Rayquaza without Dragon Ascent, so I guess it is possible they don't give us Palkia Spatial Rend, thus increasing the probability that it's gonna be like water and ground. But if they do give us Dragon type Palkia, it's gonna there's no way they're not gonna give us Spatial Rend. They have to give us Spatial Rend, and Spatial Rend is obviously a pretty decent move, right? Good power, although power doesn't really translate a lot of times in Poem Masters, right? Stuff like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, they kind of suck. Hyper Voice, right? But it'll be really nice if they give it a Spatial Rend, I guess. Then maybe in its trainer move it could like have less crit buffs and give us more like special attack buffs, right? So if they do give us like Spatial Rend, it's gonna be like probably a +1 crit on Spatial Rend, so their trainer move might just give us +1 crit every time you use it, and then like give us like a +2 maybe like maybe it could give us like +1 crit, +2 special attack, +1 speed, or like a +1 crit, +2 special attack, +1 evasion, or something like that. That could make it relatively interesting in terms of its trainer move, so that could be a possibility. As for some other moves outside of Spatial Rend, if they're going to go like the double dragon type move, they give us like Spatial Rend and does he really not have any other? Okay, Draco Meteor, I guess that could also be a possibility. Another Draco Meteor user, or Dragon Pulse, which we haven't had before. Actually, do we? Oh yeah, I don't think we have any Dragon Pulse users yet. Obviously, Outrage, Draco Meteor could always give it that, but like thing with giving it Outrage and Draco Meteor is that like they're not like he's just gonna get outclassed on those moves by Kingdra and Haxorus, unless they drop Palkia with a grid, which is very unlikely. Right, so there's that as well. Let's see. Yeah, those are your main dragon type moves. I guess they could give it Dragon Tail as well, but I just don't know how they're gonna implement Dragon Tail in this game. Or like some other like useless Dragon type move, like again Dragon Claw or I guess Dragon Breath, which isn't completely useless. It does have the chance to paralyze, I guess. So there's that. As for like the secondary type, again, water moves, ground type moves, I've already mentioned it before. It should be anything something similar. One thing that I do want to mention about its sync move, because like if it does end up being or not sync move, it's passive, like what they did with Ho, like obviously Ho is extremely powerful, right? Again, like some of you guys might still disagree, but in my opinion, Ho is probably the strongest, or I guess the most useful legendary so far. And like I mean, just in comparison, like I just don't use any legendary nearly as much as I do Ho. Like Ho's just so incredibly good with unlimited sun. So they could maybe do something like that with Palkia. Maybe give it a, if it gets unlimited rain, then like it's just wow. Because like we just don't have any like good rain setters at all right now. Like we literally only have one, which is Pelipper. Pelipper's not that great. But if we do get like unlimited rain from Palkia from like the sync move, that's gonna be incredibly powerful. So there's that also to consider as well. So yeah, I guess those are just my thoughts in terms of how they could work Palkia in terms of as a striker, right? Again, like I mentioned before, tag support, they're all they're kind of hard to predict and stuff, since they could like be anything, right? With a lower field, more narrow field in tech, but not so much in support, right? So anyways, that's really this one. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm excited for Palkia. Personally, I do like Dolly more, but hey, we get a Gen 4 Legendary, and I'm fine with that. So, again, also, we're almost at like 20k subs, which is really, really cool, but also really scary because I promised like some really weird video at 20k subs. Oh my god, I'm literally 7 subs away from that. Yikes. I need to record that. But yeah, again, subscribe if you guys haven't already, if you guys want to see me sing on this channel, I guess. And I'll see you guys in the next one.